Welcome to Wealth Coffee Chats, folks, for your daily live updates. Get the most out of today's episode by participating in the chat. Make sure you ask some questions, be part of the conversation, have a bit of fun, grab a coffee or a tea, take some notes, and get ready to start your day, folks. Quick few housekeeping rules, though. No spamming, no advertising or self-promotion in the chat. That's not on. Be kind and respectful to everyone when participating. And most of all, have a good time. Real estate investing can be your biggest asset. It also can be your most expensive asset when it comes to getting it right or getting it wrong, folks. It can be time-consuming, stressful, and that's why here at Positive, we have what's called a 6-star team, a full-service team that provides integrated wealth and property investing solutions and services simply designed to help you progress towards your goal of passive income through your property portfolio, folks. Make sure you check out our other podcasts on the Positive Mentor Network. Not only is there Wealth Coffee Chats, there's the Urban Property Investor. Drops every Wednesday with straight talking investing strategies and lessons with Sam Saggers. Property Investor Tales. This is where our clients, you guys, share real life stories from property investing, hosted by some of our advisors and strategists. And that's done every fortnight, dropping every Monday. Wealth, Wine and Wisdom, folks, that debriefs the week that was in the world of finance and property, hosted by yours truly, Jason Witten and Andy Fenton on Fridays. Hey, good morning, folks.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat.
Hope you're well, folks, wherever you are.
There it is, team. Morning. Morning, wherever you're tuning in from today.
Early bird gets the worm, they say. Here at Positive, we offer a 6-star team. It's a team that help you at every stage of your wealth creation journey.
Good morning, and welcome to another episode of Wealth Coffee Chats, Property Management. I'm not on a plane today, team, so I am here for Property Management Wednesdays. Thankfully, was supposed to be on a plane, actually, but got cancelled. So here we are, Property Management Wednesdays. So hope you're well, wherever you're tuning in from, as we get this live stream up and running. See a few of you guys already here, but hey, if you haven't met me before, my name's Shostan. Here to represent part of the 6-star team, and that's the property management section. That's where we deep dive into, all the challenges around holding property. And, for a lot of you do it really well, and we try and, look at those insights, look at those challenges, try and unpack it, see what we can find out together. Maybe there's some solutions along the way. So hello to you and welcome along. If I get rid of that off your screen, that'd be awesome. So a few of the regulars are here. Sarah's here. Morning. Kevin, good evening, and good morning from me. Good evening to you and Bunty as well. Good to see you guys on as always, and having a chat this morning. So this morning's conversation, team, around property management is, question from me to you. Do you struggle to handle defects on your new build property? I've been thinking about this one for a little while. It's something that I don't think a week goes by if I haven't had this conversation with someone, whether it's internal team, whether it's clients out there, prospective clients, whatever it may be. I think it's quite common, and I want to try and go, and talk to you guys about, fear from fact, conversation around defects. What is a defect? How do we handle it? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? We're going to talk about that this morning, and hopefully you guys can participate as well. So, let me know in the chat to get it going. If you've had some defects recently, if you've bought a new build property, let me know in the chat. Love to hear where you guys are at in your journey. Kind of helps the conversation and makes me, try and provide some better information, I suppose, to the conversation. So if you've had a new property, if you've struggled with defects, if you weren't sure what to do, if you've got some sort of experience around that, please pop that in the chat and as we go along. And of course, any questions, let's do it, team. So team, like I say, defects, Tim's here as well. Morning to you, mate. Thanks for joining. So team, when we talk about defects, what is a defect? Why is it important for you as the investor and your property managers to understand why defects matter? Okay, so defects, in turn, in my opinion, they're quite common. They're inevitable. They're a part of your new build process. Would everyone agree? Maybe put a yes in the chat. And it's important to understand why defects matter, because, if when it goes wrong, it can delay your ability to rent the property out, right? That's worst case scenario. For the most part, we partner with great builders, and generally speaking, we don't really have these sort of issues. But out there in the marketplace, out there in the world, this stuff can happen, right? So you don't want that. So we need to understand the timeline for rectification. We need to understand where we are as investors, property managers, how we're going to actually get this property leased. We remember, as we build the property, we have drawdowns, we pay interest along the way. So obviously, come handover, super important to get that property up and running really quickly. I'm sure you guys would agree. But, it matters because we want to know our rights. We want to have the right support and the right team around us. When defects go really wrong, when that process gets drawn out, when the builder's not responding, it's generally because there's a couple of things that have gone wrong. Right, and we're going to talk about that today to make sure you guys have that right strategy, that right framework moving forward. So a typical defect, team, maybe pop that in the chat for me. What is a typical defect in your experience? Maybe you just know. If you don't know as well, let me know in the chat. But what is a typical defect? Maybe someone will pop that in the chat for me. All right. Kim's already got one there. Builder was difficult. So I'll read this one out as we, everyone else pops their 2 cents in the comments there. Roller door, for that matter, was making extra loud, struggling sound operation, which later failed. Same issue, fighting for warranty. Yeah, so these sorts of things can come up at the new build stage. And what we want to do, or what we want to be able to do, is understand what's really going on, who's responsible, how we handle that moving forward. So, in Tim's case there, the problem has been identified. What do we do from there? So a typical defect could be something that Tim just mentioned. So, a fault with something in operation, an appliance. What about, minor cracks? What about poor finishes? It could be paintwork, cabinetry, how the skirting boards, right? There could be chips. It could be just poor workmanship from the tradespeople. Low water pressure at times, right? You turn the tap on, no water's coming out. I've had once an oven not even working completely. Just wasn't connected really from the tradesperson, but these things happen, right? No one picked it up, and it caused a bit of a delay. So, you've got to be aware that when you are building new property, these things are going to come up. In my opinion, it's inevitable, but the minor defects, the better. It's part of the process. So the challenges for you guys, the investors, property managers, on the back end of when you are approaching handover, what could those challenges be? Right now, let me know in the chat if you've experienced this. But from time to time, builders may not respond, or they may be quite delayed in their response to the property manager or yourself in getting that done. You see, property managers have a sense of urgency because they want to get the property rented. The owner is generally backing up that feeling and that sentiment, because obviously, as I say, throughout the build, you've been paying the interest rates and you're just trying to get the property rented to create that cash flow. And sometimes between the owner, the property manager, and the builder, perhaps we're not all on the same stage when it comes to how we're feeling, how we're thinking, and what is actually urgent. Because like I say, in our mind, it's urgent. We want to get it fixed. We want to get it rented. We want to create that cash flow for our clients. But for the builder, they might have 15 other jobs they've got to get to, and in their mind, it's not deemed urgent at that stage. So just because builders delay responses, team, it doesn't mean they don't care. It doesn't mean it's not going to get done. We just need to be aware of everyone at different stages of what is urgent. So if there is a lack of urgency, what can we do? Right, we want to make sure we record everything. We want to make sure we submit everything through to the builder's portal. You definitely need to make sure your property manager has a process and an ability to generate really good property reports to make sure that these things are getting identified. If there are any disputes, and generally my experience doesn't get to this level if you handle it right, but this can cause a financial or have a financial impact if it goes wrong, as I say. But you've got to make sure that when this does get to a level where there isn't that urgency, nothing's getting done, nothing's moving, and you feel it is impacting your ability to rent the property out, okay, we need to identify who's responsible, right? Because the common question I get asked, well, who's responsible? Is it the property manager? Is it the owner? Is it the builder? Is it the developer? Is it the salesperson? Right? There's a few things we need to unpack there, which is can be really interesting and a different process for builder to builder. Morning, Trina. Thanks for tuning in. Awesome, team. So, like I say, I think bottom line is, team, this stuff is inevitable. We kind of understand what a typical defect might be. So what do we actually need to do when these defects come up? What do we need to be aware of, and what do we need to take action on as the investor and the property manager to make sure we get this structure right, this process right? Again, what we're trying to do here is just to minimize time on market, right? So what do we need to do? Number one, check your timeline, know your rights. Yeah. What is the defect liability period in your contract? Is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? Some builders do a 12-month check. So that's the first place we want to start, team. Understand what the defect liability period is with your builder and or developer, and your property manager or sales team can obviously help you identify what that is. Okay. We can check warranty periods. Generally that can be 6-12 months depending on the builder / developer, and you can apply that as well. So sometimes, like I say, just because someone's not responding to 1 or 2 phone calls or 1 or 2 emails doesn't mean it's over, team. We want to document everything, which is point number 2. Document everything, right? Pre-handover, right? Pre-handover, who here gets a building inspector to come to their property and do a check? Pop that in the chat for me if you've had that done on your property, right? So there's companies like KSpec, handovers.com. There's a few other companies, obviously. A qualified building inspector that comes into your property and generates a report, room by room, identifying the defects in your property. Pop that in the chat for me if you know what I'm talking about. Can your property manager, and this is a question I get asked, Cass, can't you just go there and do it for me, right? The short answer is yes, I could. However, the caveat to that, team, is I'm not a qualified building inspector, and the likelihood that I might miss something is generally higher, right? And that's coming from someone who's 14 years in the industry. Yeah, I'm not a qualified building inspector, neither is your property managers. And so for me, when we invest a significant amount of capital into these properties for new builds, we want to make sure that extra few $100 to get a qualified building inspector out there pre-handover is a no-brainer for me. Now you can do 1 inspection, 2 inspections, do what you need to do in that space. Certainly touch base with your 6-star team around that. No-brainer in my mind, team, no-brainer. Okay, but on the back of documenting everything, that's just the first step, what you can do pre-handover to make sure you got limited defects at the actual handover. But of course, your property management team on your behalf, or if you are close by, you can obviously go there yourself. But certainly let your property manager do the heavy lifting for you. They can take that report, they can go to the property, we can run through that report, because that report has now identified what room, what wall, what skirting board is damaged, what paint defect exists, and we can help highlight whether that has been actually rectified or if it's still outstanding. In the event it is outstanding, we can then lodge a further request through the builder's portal, depending on their process, which is kind of cool, right? Awesome. Sarah says yes, she knows what I'm talking about. Awesome, Sarah. And Tim's jumping in as well. Surprising when a building inspector will pick up things you wouldn't literally see, as they are experienced professionals. I absolutely agree, Tim. Like I say, most investors, a fair few investors out there, not part of the 6-star team, they feel that they can do it themselves, or they feel like their property manager can do it. But to Tim's point, they're not experienced professionals, team. So if it's not going to work for me, 14 years in the industry, team, don't trust it. Right, get qualified building inspections done. No brainer. Number 3, right? When you have a 6-star team, and you guys will know this, and when you've got someone like an advisor, and you've got a good property manager, and you've got someone in legal to support you through this process, it really helps, right? Now, again, 14 years in the industry doing this, I haven't had too many significant sort of defects or structural issues and things like that come at handover. So thankfully, knock on wood, but thankfully it's all good. But essentially, in that space, when you've got a good team around you, you can get the right support. When you have the right support, you can manage this process through that. Like I say, defects are inevitable. Time after time, I see investors who don't have a team, who want to do it all by themselves. And what happens is they blow themselves up. They get quite worked up with what's going on, and they don't know how to handle it. Nothing gets documented, no pre-inspections done, and they create the problem for themselves. So I guess my point today, team, is look, holding property is challenging, right? We know that. This is why a lot of investors don't go the distance, then they sell too soon. Part of my role is to help you guys go the distance with whatever you want to achieve, along with your 6-star team. And, like I say, these challenges are inevitable. So, defects a normal team is part of the process. What I would say to that is allow yourself to have some buffers. So work with your advisor on that. Ensure you've got strong leasing campaigns. Generally speaking, your leasing campaign should not be affected by minor defects. So don't feel that it can't be done. Don't let anyone tell you it can't be done. If they do, tell them to call me. We'll sort it out. We can get the property leased and we can manage that defect process through that liability period as per your contract. Okay, we want to have consistent communication and a system that looks after your tenant whilst this gets rectified, right? So if we can keep the tenant happy through this process, you're going to find you get this done in a quicker time frame. Access is granted, away you go. So, team, these things called defects do not have to be a nightmare. My message to you guys is to stay calm through the process. Talk to your team, whether it's the property managers as a start, and then you've got your advisors and legal team if required. But part of this team is being proactive, engaging that building inspector. And I wrote down as well, let your property manager do the heavy lifting. I'm sure they'll love me saying that, but that's what I want to strive to do for you guys. Let us do the heavy lifting, keep you guys on track, keep you safe, and allow you guys to hold the property for a longer period of time. That's the most important thing. So if you feel stuck, that is okay. What you need to do is just pick up the phone, reach out. I've got my email address down below. This happens more often than you might think, but those that are on track do really well once you get past this process. So, all right, message over, rant over. That's me, Property Management Wednesdays team. Thanks for jumping in the chat, everyone. Tim, Sarah, Trader, Bunty. Good stuff. Appreciate the engagement. And don't forget, 10:08 Queensland time. We're still on daylight savings, aren't we? We do this every morning. So there will be more people, more 6-star team joining us tomorrow. Might be Jason, might be someone else. But at 8:10, set your clocks. Join us for another episode of Wealth Coffee Chats. And we will have some more fun and learn some things, I'm sure. So, all right, team. That's me for a Wednesday. Catch you later.
Thanks for watching another episode of Wealth Coffee Chat, folks. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you never miss a thing when we go live. Improve your portfolio and investing game, folks, with Wealth Coffee Chats live every morning at 8:10 each weekday. Make sure you join us. Previous episodes are also available wherever you get your podcasts, folks, as well as our other podcasts from the 6-star team here at positivementor.com.au.